This week we'll talk about human impact on the environment based on chapter 1, Welcome to the Great Acceleration. We'll talk briefly about Anthropocene, Great Acceleration, and environmental ethics. Anthropocene is a proposed geological epoch defined by human influence on the Earth's systems. It highlights how human activities, particularly since the Industrial Revolution, have drastically altered the planet. For example, the graph shows sharp increases in carbon dioxide and methane, which are greenhouse gases, both very impactful in changing climate. Or the upper figure, the satellite image of Earth at night, illustrates a human presence through city lights, making our influence visible from space. While the Industrial Revolution is often used as the starting point, there are alternative views suggesting earlier or later beginnings, such as the rise of agriculture somewhere around 10,000 years ago, or global colonization after 1500s, or the nuclear era starting around in 1945. So there are alternative views on when this started, but today we can see clearly through scientific evidences and many hundreds of thousands of research showing human impact on the Earth system. From the mid-20th century onward, human impact surged rapidly due to post-World War II industrialization and mass production systems, which is also called as a period of great accelerations. And the timeline in the figure shows how indicators such as greenhouse gases, biodiversity loss, soil erosion, and freshwater water scarcity have risen steeply, pushing planetary systems beyond natural boundaries. For example, mass production and urban expansion after World War II dramatically increased emissions and resources use, reshaping Earth's system at a scale and a speed unmatched in history. We are living through the sixth mass extinction. If you have taken classes with me in spring, we talked a lot about this in biodiversity classes, about mass extinctions and other environmental changes that happened or started happening a long time ago and still going on. If we do not keep balances of those things, we are risking the future of our Earth. So, as I said, we are living in the sixth mass extinction, with large portions of species facing severe threats. About 26% of mammals and over 40% of amphibians are endangered, while even birds show significant declines, around 13% threatened, as shown in the figure in the middle. Examples like rhinos, coral reefs, and shrub frogs illustrate how both large mammals and large animals and fragile ecosystems are at risk, signaling a biodiversity crisis driven by human activities such as habitat destruction, and climate change. Environmental ethics examines how humans value and interact with nature. Um, uh, Two different type of values: instrumental values and intrinsic values. Instrumental values view nature as useful, for example, forests providing timber, medicine, or clean water, or storing carbon, and so forth. Whereas intrinsic value, on the other hand, recognizes nature's worth simply for existing, such as the beauty of a landscape, cultural heritage, or even a spiritual connection. The figure here highlights principles like sustainability, justice, precaution, beneficence, and community, which shape decisions about what should be protected versus exploited. For instance, protecting coral reefs for biodiversity, which is intrinsic value, may conflict with the exploiting them for tourism or resources, which is instrumental value. So there's always those intrinsic versus instrumental values of either protecting or exploiting the resources. Ecosystem services are the life support systems nature provides for free, such as forest storing carbon, producing oxygen, and regulating climate. The figure is produced by Millennium Ecosystem Assessment, which shows different ecosystem services and its value to the human being. So the earlier proponent of this valuing ecosystem services or valuing nature is done by Costanza et al. In 1997. He estimated the global value of ecosystem services around $33 trillion per year, showing how vital they are to human well-being. He did or updated using the same methodology in 2014 and reported global value as approximately US dollar 125 trillion per year. So 1997, 33 trillion versus 2014, 125. Now 2025, you may project that a lot to a lot. So while he updated this value, he incorporated both unit values and biome area changes. So the figure illustrates how provisioning services such as food, water, fuel, regulating services like climate, flood control, and cultural services like spiritual or recreational, and supporting services like soil formation, nutrient cycling directly connect to human security and health and livelihoods. So um, a key debate arises: should we put a monetary value on ecosystem to emphasize their importance, or does this risk reducing nature's intrinsic worth to mere economics? So placing a monetary value on ecosystems can help emphasize their enormous contribution to human well-being and strengthens argument for conservation, especially to the policy people. They like to talk in dollar values. So if we say, if you go to a politician and say we're saving X amount of forest or X amount of wetlands and so forth, they would not understand. But if you value that forest or wetland to a dollar value, they might be easily convinced, as discussed or shown by Costanza et al. In 1997 or 2014, or his earlier researches. However, it also risks reducing nature to an economic commodity, overlooking its intrinsic value, such as beauty, culture, and spirituality. So, a balanced view recognizes both dimensions. Economic valuation can guide policy, but it should not replace respect for nature's inherent worth. Uh, Environmental stewardship emphasizes our responsibility to manage Earth's resources wisely, recognizing that today's decisions shape the health of the planet for future generations, and basically talking about sustainability. So the figure highlights three core principles: conservation or safeguarding ecosystem, sustainability, ensuring practices meet current and future needs, and restoration, healing damaged environment. For example, protecting forests not only conserves biodiversity but also secures clean air and climate stability, showing how stewardship balances use and care within planetary boundaries. Um, In summary, human has become a dominant force shaping the planet, leading many scientists to describe our current era as the Anthropocene. While people have altered the environment for thousands of years, the most profound changes accelerated in the mid 20th century during Great Acceleration, when industrialization, population growth, and mass production drove climate change, biodiversity loss, and resources depletion. Today, we face the sixth mass extinction with large proportions of mammals and amphibians under threat. So these challenges raise important questions in environmental ethics as we consider whether nature should be valued only for its usefulness to humans, which is instrumental value, or also its inherent worth, which is intrinsic value. To ensure a sustainable future, this chapter calls for environmental stewardship, urging us to act as responsible custodians of Earth's resources for present and future generations. So using resources in a sustainable way. Thank you. We'll talk about chapter 2 next week.